What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching True Heel Heat podcast.
Hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube and Twitch for our ROH Final Battle 2024 preview. Breaking down this Friday's show back home at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City, live on Honor Club. And we are here to discuss it. And don't adjust your screens. No, this is not the Fightful main channel. No, this is not a Thursday night. We are here on a Wednesday afternoon to break down this Friday's, the biggest show of the year for Ring of Honor, with the queen of talking about Ring of Honor. She is the host, the main host. I'm just the co-host. I'm playing the B point. This is the A point position here. One of the hardest working women in wrestling media today. It is Kate. How are you doing?
That was such a lovely, lovely intro. It is very funny. I was thinking about that earlier of you can't get away from me in SP3 today if you're like you got him on Sour Graps filling in for me yesterday. I'm filling in on Wednesday. We're going to be talking Final Battle on Thursday. We might see what's cooking with the post show after Final Battle. SP3 and I all over your YouTube this week. But I'm excited for Final Battle. I'm excited for the implications of it too. I'm really, really hoping that there's TV on the other side of it, or just some renewed effort in the creative direction, if that is the case. So I'm both excited for the pay-per-view, and it feels like of anything that we've gotten, this feels like when there's been more of an effort in the build too, just kind of overall. Definitely still have my complaints, i.e. where's your TV champion and your trios champions, or your six-man champions rather, but there's been some more builds than, hey, someone from the main roster got shot down the week before and now you have a feud. Like even the stuff I have complaints about, I can't deny that they've put some effort into. So I think a better showing overall for the ROH brand this time around.
Yeah, I felt like when I was uploading and prepping for the show, going through the graphics, I was like, I feel like this is going to be a show that is better. At the end of the show, it's better than how it looked on paper at the beginning of the show.
Yes. I think
that's what it's going to come down to, is a lot of our expectations being lower for some things that are probably going to be one of the better matches of the night. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. Looking forward to this Friday show. Yes, I will be there live in the Hammerstein Ballroom back home. But I actually got to stay in my seat. It's kind of weird. I'm not. I'll tell you, Kate. I've let the True Heel Heat community know this in the past. My history at Ring of Honor and Hammerstein Ballroom is I was going when I was 20 years old, had a job, but I was really not trying to pay that much for wrestling seats. So I would get balcony seats, and then I would always just walk down to the floor because security was never that good at the Hammerstein Ballroom, especially in the late 2000s, early 2010s. So I used to just stand next to like the Briscoes family or the Young Bucks family. I would have chats with them. So yeah, it was always loosey-goosey. So being a part of media at the Hammerstein Ballroom, I have to stay in my seat. It's going to be weird.
It's going to be a weird one for you. I know a few people that have said that, like, if you weren't just actively trying to take someone else's seat at those, like, that era of tapings, you could kind of just do whatever you wanted. If you were willing to stand, you could stand wherever the heck you wanted. And I actually kind of love that environment when you go back and you look at old tapings of shows. But one thing with, like sitting in wrestling media or whatever, of having to keep your cool at like really cool moments. You went to see Danielson swerve it all in, and you were not sitting in media. If I was sitting in media, there would have been no part of me that was like able to be like, oh, what a delightful match. Yeah. So
you know what, Kate, I was gonna say, just act like Jeremy, because Jeremy sat next to me at Revolution, and he could tell you how I act at wrestling show when you actually sit next to me. But you would think that media would not allow me to like become a mark sometimes, but I do. It's part of my nature. It's who I am. And for example, here's an example from Saturday.
Yes! I'll say I've seen more people act more inappropriate than that in media sections, for sure. For sure. Hey, I'll say this. Nobody was keeping their cool for Big Justice or AJ Justice, but I keep getting them confused because the younger one's Big Justice. But nobody in the media section was like, "Oh, I'm here to watch this wrestling clinic between QT Marshall and Justice." Like, no, people were into it for that. People were like losing it for Fletcher and Ospreay too. I'm hoping that the in-ring is delivering in a way that you can't help but kind of react in that way. And I hope you'll be surrounded by a lot of other people who are as well.
I hope so as well. And I hope you guys are going to enjoy Friday's show, but we're going to give our predictions. We're going to talk about the builds to these matches. So let us know in the live chat what you think. Sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you can send a super chat donation, or you can hit the join button and become a member, like our good brother I Make Beats over here. He says, yo, what's good, people? Yes, Package Power Driver. That's going to be like with my t-shirt. Just be Package Power Driver.
I'll say this. If you are able to send in a super chat or subscribe, please do, because SP3 is working really hard in general. But like, he also bailed me out because I went to watch Mariah Carey yesterday. So like, He's working extra hard so that I can go sing All I Want for Christmas Is You at the top of my lungs at the Barclays Center. So just like, please send some money, some extra love his way this week, because my sister was like, we're going. And I was like, who am I to deny my sister going to see Mariah Carey and singing at the top of our lungs?
I don't know if I did you a favor or you did me a favor, because I got to hear Alex with his accent with the rainbow wig sing Freak a Leak. Sing Freak a Leak. Because we got a humper chat that asked him to do that with the accent, sing Freak a Leak. Oh my God. I literally had people in the chat. It was like I was broken. Yeah.
That's my favorite part of Tuesday shows, because I don't usually have to do anything and I just let Alex sit back and be weird. You might not like us, and I get it, but I can confidently say there's nobody else dressing up with a rainbow wig singing Freak League in a British accent on a wrestling post show. I can confidently say that. So I'm glad.
Say that as well, and that's why I was proud to sit in on that. But yeah. And also, we appreciate y'all if you're joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping a thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We're less than 100 subscribers away from our 20K goal for 2024. So we got 2 weeks left. Let's see if we can hit that goal. Thank you so much already. But let's get into Final Battle 2024 this Friday. Kate, as always with our pay-per-view previews, we like to kind of gauge where we're at before we even talk about the matches. So from 0 to 10, how excited, how anticipated is this Friday's show for you?
I feel like I'm more overall excited for the product than I normally am. I feel like match-wise, it's usually the opposite. Like, normally I look at the cards and I'm like, there are no stories around this, but I'm excited for this, that, and the other. I'm truly, we've talked about this, and this is no shade at either performer, but I just am not very excited about Jericho versus Cardona. Largely because Cardona playing a face out of nowhere is something that doesn't intrigue me a lot. I'm extremely excited, though, for Athena versus Billie. I can't wait to see who answers Lee Moriarty's open challenge. So there's things like that, but I'm excited that it feels like they're putting a little bit more weight behind the product. When I look at it match by match, it's actually one of the ones I'm a little less excited about, because I would be like, well, there's not really any story here, but I'm excited to see Kyle Fletcher against whoever. Like, so it's a little bit different. But I think that's actually kind of a healthy blend of, there's going to be some really great in-ring. There's going to be some story payoff. So I'd probably say I'm at like a 7.5 to an 8. I do worry about that world title picture being able to deliver in accordance with the ROH in-ring expectations of what we've kind of grown to know and love from these pay-per-views, though.
Yeah, especially with the kind of recent output from the Ring of Honor World Championship with like Claudio as champion, Eddie Kingston, Mark Briscoe. Like, yeah, it is going to be hard for that matchup to live up to that. We'll get into that. I would say from 0 to 10, I'm at like a solid, healthy 6.5.
That's fair.
6.5. I was like, maybe after we talk about some stuff, I do agree the Lee Moriarty pure title open challenge intrigues me a bit. That gets me a little bit more excited about the card. I like the undercard kind of title matches as well, but there's just certain stuff on this card where I'm just like, be so interested.
Sure. Understandable.
But yes, we're going to talk all about it. Give your thoughts in the live chat with us. But let's start off with the only non-title match that has been officially announced for the card for this Friday. It will be Jay Lethal making his return to Ring of Honor. Mr. Ring of Honor himself, the two-time Ring of Honor World Champion, going one-on-one with a former ROH legend himself, QT Marshall. QT Marshall coming off of that thriller in I can't even say it without laughing.
The Forbidden Door thriller. Yeah.
The Forbidden Door thriller against Bing Boom AJ at the Prudential Center in Newark. He sold out the Prudential Center. So now he wants to sell out Hammerstein Ballroom, going up to Jay Lethal and saying that he wants to face him. He wants to be his return match to Ring of Honor. Jay Lethal said he had bigger fish to fry, but he didn't come up with an idea for that. Sanjay Dutt didn't come up with an idea for that. So Paul White said, all right, QT's here. That'll be your return match at Final Battle. That's pretty much the story here. I would love to make this a little bit more intriguing and thrilling, but this is one of the matches where I can only get so excited. I do like Jay Lethal back in Hammerstein Ballroom. It's going to feel like home away from home for him, but you're telling me we couldn't find anyone on the AEW roster to face it?
I will say, sincerely, QT with the Costco guys and everything that match offered. One thing QT is very good at is just getting crowd reactions, and some people underestimate like how important that is to wrestling. Jay Lethal is great, and QT can work. If this is like I thought for sure this would be a 0-hour match. It looks like it's on the actual card, so that definitely kind of takes some shine off of it. I give it a little bit of love for the fact that like Jay Lethal is not for me, especially with some of the surrounding stuff about him, but he is kind of like integral to the ROH brand. I can't deny like his title reigns have been impeccable when they've been built properly under the ROH umbrella. So it kind of has that like nostalgic ROH feel that we try to pull out with these pay-per-views. I definitely think Jay Lethal wins it. I don't think there's anything for QT Marshall to win here. I don't think we're going to have like a trilogy with this. This is kind of just like a little bit of a tune-up, a little bit of an ROH sicko appetizer, I think. So definitely going with Jay Lethal here, but I think this will be better in ring than people might give it credit for. This might be one of those good, like, lull moments where, like, you know, when cards go pedal to the metal, you need kind of one of those matches that you can kind of just like chill out and watch and whatever. I think this is a good one to maybe stick in one of those spots where it's like I'm a little less invested, but I'm still entertained what's going on. I'll take that. Jay Lethal definitely with the W here, though.
Definitely agree with you. Jay Lethal to get the win. I'm interested to see what's next for Jay Lethal. I would like them to, if he is going to stick around for Ring of Honor, like do something in the post match that kind of gets you like, okay, let me see what's going on with Jay Lethal in Ring of Honor. Like have someone interesting that you can have him feud against, have him tell a story with on Ring of Honor television. I would like that to come out of this, but there's no question Jay Lethal's going to win. I do agree. It's probably going to be better than people led on to, but it's probably not going to be the best match on the night. So
no, and when I say better than expected, the expectations I think are like a 3 or a 4. So this I think will probably be like a 6 or whatever, and that's fine.
That's absolutely fine for this matchup for sure. But let's move on to our first title match we have here for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. We have Survival of the Fittest, which has become like a theme of these Ring of Honor pay-per-views as of late. We're going to have the champion Brian Cage defending against the previous number 1 contender, Commander, Willie Mack, Mark Davis, AR Fox, and Blake Christian. Not much of a build to this one. This one was announced on social media. At least they did pit people that I can say I was like, I've seen you win a match before. Sure. At least that. I mean, Mark Davis, it was mostly in tag matches, but I've seen you win matches on Ring of Honor TV, which if that is the bar for being on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I mean, here we are. I think this is going to be an awesome match, though. All that was said, this is going to be spot food because you got your big guys in Cage, Mack, and Davis. You got your high flyers in Commander, AR Fox, and Blake Christian. This feels like this does, although I will say, you know, lack of build withstanding, this does have the feel of like a Ring of Honor matchup that they would book at a Hammerstein Ballroom show back in like the 2000s, 2010. Sure. They would just put a whole bunch of guys that are good, put some 3 big guys, 3 little guys that can fly, put them in there, have a banger match.
Yeah, I think this is definitely for Brian Cage to retain, but I'm wondering if what we get out of this is a setup for who he maybe has a singles story with. What I was encouraged to see was some names that we haven't seen in a while, and Blake Christian and Willie Mack also being in this. My frequent host that I co-host for that you filled in for yesterday, Alex Pulowski, said that Willie Mack, he moves like Mr. Incredible. Like there's something it was so, I was like, I know exactly what he means. Like the way he's built with the way he moves is something that's special. A fantastic base for luchadors. We know that there's a lot of high flyers in this match. AR Fox having that incredible hybrid of not being a high flyer per se, but having those tendencies, those proclivities to high fly. Commander being in this, really no build to it, but I am excited for the in-ring that it offers. I think this is for Brian Cage to retain, but I think maybe what we do get set up is hopefully some sort of one-on-one program out of it, or some other feuds that could evolve of like, if Willie Mack and Blake Christian just keep breaking up each other's pinfalls or things like that. Yeah. I think this will be set up to hopefully get some love on this men's singles division, because Lord knows both ROH and NXT, our developmental programs, just don't have strong men's singles divisions right now. But I am very excited for the in-ring, but I think because of the lack of build, I'm assuming this is Brian Cage's to retain.
So who would you say would be like the person to watch as far as to start a feud with Brian Cage coming out of this? Who would you say would be your prediction?
It's so hard because if they do end up getting TV, as has been heavily rumored, it could be anybody, right? Like it kind of feels that way. I feel like the Commander well is something that we just go to with Brian Cage too often. So I'll take him out of it. I think AR Fox versus Brian Cage could be a really interesting one-on-one feud. I am a Willie Mack gal, so my heart is voting for a Willie Mack Brian Cage program. I think that could be very, very fun.
I'm going to call Mark Davis. I'm going to go with Mark Davis. Keep him away from Kyle Fletcher, because dealing with the fallout of Aussie Open is only going to put Kyle Fletcher down. He's got the rocket strapped to him. He's going to the moon. Let Davis go through the same process that Fletcher did and see if he can come out of it as a potential star on AEW television.
That's a great story that's sitting right there that I didn't even think about too. And that could be something that you time really well with Grand Slam in Australia. Like there's a lot of different ways you could loop that in. So I am a woman of my word, so I'll stand by what I said, but I like your idea better.
But you just made me think of like, oh man, that might be what they should plan or have planned is Davis versus Fletcher, at Grand Slam.
That could be really fun. That could be really fun. We'll see what happens with the C2. It's been a different one this year, but that's also why I think Commander's probably not set up for like a big title win here, is because he's literally in a tournament. So I am intrigued.
Just a little busy.
Yes, he's busy. Got some other things going on for sure.
Since Cage vs Commander, because it's been used a lot as old reliable. Yeah, it is kind of old reliable for them. Whenever like, hey, who's around to have a good match? Oh, Brian Cage, Commander. Yeah, go have a good match.
And Brian Cage with luchadors is always like it feels like consistently a formula for success. So I get the temptation for that for sure. For sure.
I agree with you. Brian Cage retains the TV championship. But speaking of the TV title, Kate, we have the Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship up for grabs as Red Velvet will defend against legit Layla Hirsch. Layla Hirsch, of course, had one of the most underrated gems. I love when we were talking about a match, we were praising a match, and then it slowly over time, over the months, becomes a hidden gem of a year. But Layla Hirsch versus Diamante is the definition of that. From Death Before Dishonor, with her injuring her arm in the process of the finish, doing a moonsault off of a ladder. And then she was out for a couple of months. She came back. She's been on a winning streak in singles competition, but now she is going for her first gold since making her return as she faces Red Velvet, who has been a pretty good TV champion, a lot better than Billie Starkz did. I'm sorry, Billie. I love you, Billie. You're going to be great, Billie. More on that later, but Red Velvet has been doing good. She's been defending the title, doing the proving ground matches, been in a feud with Diamante. Now she's got this one with Layla Hirsch. What do you think about this matchup here? This has the potential to kind of be a star-making performance for either woman here.
Yeah, my gut says that Red Velvet retains just because I think they want some more defenses in the lineage of this belt and this title reign for Velvet. I also don't see imminent places that she would be moving to outside of this. And Layla, I think, returning from injury, this has been a great place for her to walk kind of back into, but could get some wins under her belt before getting a title reign. She's one of my favorites to watch in the ring. I'm very excited about the chemistry between Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch because they're such different wrestlers. And Red Velvet's kind of the type of wrestler that I love seeing Layla Hirsch wrestle too. Like I feel like she does such interesting work with people that stylistically do what Red Velvet does. So I'm going to say she retains here. I wouldn't be stunned if this one went the other way. Like, I think Layla Hirsch as an inevitable TV champion could be something that's really, really interesting. But hi, Pile Driver. We were just talking about all sorts of finishers over Pile Driver land. But I think Velvet retains. I do think this is going to be one of the less talked about matches that's going to surprise the hell out of us because I think the work from both of these women is excellent and stylistically combined is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to go with legit Layla Hirsch to get the win. I think that if she doesn't get injured, she's probably in the mix for the Women's World Championship or Women's TV title right after that, the end of that feud with Diamante. So I think they're going to speed up the process, skip through a couple of steps maybe, but hey, go with it. They need a big title change on this card outside of the kind of the two main titles, the two top titles on this show. I think they need another title change on the other undercard. So I'm going to go with legit Layla Hirsch to be that.
I would love it. Not mad about it.
Now we got an interesting one here, Kate, because we don't know one half of it. For the ROH Pure Championship, Lee Moriarty is making an open challenge to anyone out there. He says it doesn't matter if you're with AEW, Ring of Honor, the Independent, Stardom, CMLL. He's making an open challenge to anyone to face him in the Hammerstein Ballroom for the Pure Championship. Lee Moriarty has been a very good champion so far since winning the title at Death Before Dishonor with title defenses against Angelico as well as Matt Taven recently. Now he's looking to get one more notch under his belt under the roof of one of the mainstays of Ring of Honor. So going to be very interesting here, especially with who's going to answer the open challenge. So what do you think, Kate? Is it going to be someone from AEW? Is it going to be someone from the Indies? Is it going to be someone new into Ring of Honor altogether? What do you think? What happens on Friday?
So there's a more than 0% chance that it's Nigel McGuinness. So I'm just gonna keep riding that train until we find out it's not him. Give me what I want. Lee's been kind of wrestling like him with the way he's been playing with rules. Like, come on, give me Nigel.
He was one of the judges a couple.
He was
one of
the judges. Yes, yeah. Give me what I want. I don't think it's probably Nigel McGuinness. I don't think they're doing that match as his follow-up to Danielson, but it's so hard. I think it would be really fun if it was like a debut of someone and they beat Lee out of nowhere, especially with him being a part of a fortified Shane Taylor Promotions like stable. It would be very fun if somebody debuted on the other side and we had a stable that we could get some like real tension building, some real long-term storytelling in. But it's just hard to assume a title change, not knowing who's on the other side of it. I'm very intrigued to see who shows up because there's so many ways that they can go with a brand like Ring of Honor. It could be Michael Oku. It could be a nostalgia pull. It could be Nigel McGuinness, damn it. It could be. I can have what I want in this world. It could be. I've been so good, Santa Claus. Booking Santa. Give me Nigel versus Lee. But I'm going to say Lee retains just because assuming a title change off of an unknown opponent feels like a big leap to me. But I would love if there was something that was like someone came in, made a statement. Oh my gosh, here we are. I would love if it was like someone like Michael Oku. But I would also adore if it was somebody we've talked on the weekly show on Fightful extensively about, like, I'm loving when we have New Japan crossover. If like Gabe Kidd came in and lost here, but all of a sudden we have like, that would be the most for me stuff in the world. So I'm going to say Lee retains, but largely because we don't know who's on the other side of this SP3.
Yes, it's interesting. So I'm going to give some options here because you came up with a good one in Michael Oku. If you're going to have someone come in and beat him, I think that, that's a good shout. Another good shout would be Mustafa Ali.
Oh, damn.
And he comes in and he wins the Pure Championship, kind of try to do what he did with the Pure title, with the X Division title in TNA, with the Pure title in Ring of Honor. If it's going to be someone that comes in to lose, I have two really good options, though. Homicide. I see Jonathan. He was already on
there it. Is.
Yes,
yep.
It's New York. It's New York. It's New York. He's right there. Just call him up. Say, get on the A train. Get off at 34th Street and come on down. We want to see you. We want to see you work. And then I was going to say the other option would be Kushida. Because Kushida technically is still with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So he could get sneak in a date here with at Final Battle. And then he's been on every freaking promotion. He's the only one he hasn't come into is like Ring of Honor AEW this year. So get that off your bucket list.
A good shout, but I love what Pile Driver just said in the chat of the possibility. I don't know why this didn't occur to me. This is such a great call of Speedball coming in for a match with Lee Moriarty. Sign me up for that 8 days a week. Like, that would be so much fun. He's someone that if he debuted there, I could also see him winning. I feel like Speedball under the ROH umbrella overall is something that would be very productive. So that's a really great shout. I don't even know like why that wasn't on the front of my mind. I'm going to blame the Mariah Carey fatigue. We're going to blame that. We're going to roll with that for today.
I think it wasn't at the front of my brain because I want Lee to retain. So I think that's what
that's fair.
I want Lee to retain. So I'm not trying to pick up too many people that he will potentially lose to. And Speedball Mike Bailey is at the top of the list. But I 100% think that if AEW Tony Khan signs Speedball, they should put him on ROH. Mm-hmm. Like start him off on ROH because he's the type of guy that people will go out of their way to watch on ROH. And he doesn't feel bigger than it too much to me.
I agree with you on that entirely. I also agree with you that like we cannot undercut Shane Taylor Promotions any more than we are. Of like Shane Taylor keeps calling for title shots, not getting them. You have one champion in the stable, an incredibly badass stable, by the way, and they don't have nearly enough gold as they should. So taking the one gold that they have off of them, I feel like would be a negative step. But I agree with you. I agree with you on Speedball coming in. That could also be a fun follow-up program for Brian Cage. Like I could see Speedball TV title champion as like a really great step. A really great step.
He would have some banger matches with Brian Cage for sure.
Hell
For
yeah.
sure. But we will see what happens on Friday. So we got some options there, but I think we both want Lee Moriarty to walk out with the pure championship. Honestly, really, when you think about the last couple of weeks, just judging by the last couple of weeks, not the overall story, because there was one match that probably has the longest build of anything on this show. But I think the one that has probably the most concentrated focus over the last couple of weeks has been for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. Is going to be a double bull rope matchup as the Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, defend against the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch. Vincent and Dutch, they set their sights on the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships, something that Vincent had still not been able to achieve in his whole entire time in Ring of Honor. But most of all for Dutch, he was aiming after it because Dustin Rhodes is currently one half of the World Tag Team Champions. Because Dutch had a close relationship with Dusty. He trained under Dusty Rhodes over in Florida for a couple of years in the 2010s. And apparently, Dusty gave him one of his famous bull ropes. And he used that against Dustin Rhodes after weeks of the Righteous attacking the Sons of Texas, playing mind games, cutting out the lights, snapping their fingers. He used the bull rope on Dustin, which really triggers something into Dustin. All of the anguish that he has for anyone who disrespects his family. And he talked about how his family is full of fighters. And when you challenge them, they're going to fight back. And that's why he wanted this double bull rope matchup. It's been really great promo work from Dustin. Really great work altogether from the Righteous leading up to this matchup for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. My question to you, Kate, is will Tony Khan nut up and do the right thing and give it to the Righteous?
I think this one is going to change hands, and that makes me really happy. To your point, also, just the fact that this has had such a focus has been such a refreshing thing. And I think if they're putting that much care into it, maybe they are going to change hands with this. Really, really good work from everyone involved, as you said. Great recap, by the way. You don't even need a vignette. Okay, you've got SP3 giving you a fantastic recap, but I think I'm trying to think in terms of if they have TV, right? And I feel like these guys as tag team champions is such an interesting TV act. And I think if you're tuning into a show for the first time and you're a wrestling fan, like Vincent and Dutch are really, really interesting. I have to say one thing that's made me really happy about all of this is how much Dutch I feel like has shined. I think we've all known the incredible character work that Vincent can do. We all know how nasty the slam that we get from Dutch can be, but like he's gotten some promo sincerity that's gotten to shine through in all of this. And I love how incorporated into the storytelling he's been, because sometimes it feels like it's Vincent's time to shine and then he's kind of the big bruiser in the back. Both of them have been so forward in this feud, and I really appreciate that. As we've been talking about, like Sammy Guevara and Dustin, please give me Sammy Guevara and Speedball if Speedball comes to the ROH product, because hell yeah to that as a singles match. But Dustin still has the trios titles or the 6-man titles. They've got to do something about that because they should be vacated. But as far as the tag team picture goes, I feel like the fact there's been that much care put into this story is probably indicative of the fact that, yes, this one will change hands imminently. So I'm excited about it. And there are a few people that I hear universally kind things about more than Vincent. So I hope for the person that he is too, he gets to have this moment at Hammerstein for sure.
Absolutely. It's just right. One of the kind of ROH originals finally
No
winning
G,
a title. probably the second biggest title in all of Ring of Honor is the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion, second or third behind the Women's World Championship with what Athena has achieved. But yeah, with the lineage that it has, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles has always kind of been a main event level title. So it's going to be great for Vincent to see him get that big of achievement in the Hammerstein Ballroom. So of course, I'm not going for no Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. I've been against this whole reign. How would I look? Yes, it's the Sons of Texas in the Texas Bull Rope matchup. Yes, 9 times out of 10, Dustin Rhodes is going to probably win in Ring of Honor. I don't care. The Righteous win.
We dig.
We dig it. Come on. Yes, like Power Driver Finisher says, dolls out, balls out. I don't know how me and Alex turned that into. Imagine a daycare saying that. Like, but yes, let's talk about what I'm gonna say is the semi-main event. I don't care if it's gonna be closing the show. It's a semi-main event. If it's after the match we're gonna talk about last, we're gonna call it a lights out matchup. That's why it's after. The real main event is the one that went before it.
Very fair.
Because for the Ring of Honor World Championship, we have Chris Jericho defending against Matt Cardona. Chris Jericho won back the Ring of Honor World Championship from Mark Briscoe in October in a ladder war, thanks to Big Bill and the Learning Tree, getting the win, his second win as Ring of Honor World Champion, 9th World Championship reign, the Nueve. He got a victory over Tomohiro Ishii on the November 27th edition of Dynamite, and he was looking for a new challenger. So on the December, I think it's like December, what's today? 18th? December 5th edition of ROH TV on Honor Club, he made an open challenge, said that he wanted to defend the Ring of Honor World Championship at Final Battle in Hammerstein Ballroom, and none other than Matt Cardona made his debut in Ring of Honor to accept the challenge. Jericho said he wanted to face a real New Yorker, and of course, the Long Island IC was the one that answered the challenge. He wants to shut up Jericho because Jericho is fake, and everything he says is fake. And they had a confrontation on Rampage, which led to Brian Keefe helping out Chris Jericho. They laid out Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona made a challenge to Brian Keefe for a one-on-one matchup on Rampage, getting the victory over him. On last week's Ring of Honor TV, they had their contract signing where Cardona put Jericho through a table. So 2-week build. That's pretty much it. That's all that happened. Sorry I don't have the same enthusiasm I had for Sons of Texas versus the Righteous.
Shout out, by the way, to whoever's doing the graphics for these ROH cards is killing it. Like they've really picked up the aesthetic. As we're going through, I meant to mention that earlier at the top of the show. Like they've looked so cool, and that's been consistent for a little bit now that the ROH graphics I think look better than the AEW ones sometimes. But to share the lack of enthusiasm about this, and that's not to say anything about Matt Cardona. I just think him coming in as a face, talking about all of the inventions of himself on the indies that have all been heel iterations of him, is something that is not very interesting to me. He has a tremendous amount of upside. He's not like the Mr. In-ring guy that we're kind of used to seeing in these ROH world title pictures. And especially when the other half of that is Jericho, who, God bless him, is just, he's in the later part of his career. I will say, and I have said before too, like, I think the work he did with Mark Briscoe is some of his best non-plunder match reliant work that we've seen in a very, very long time. I think the pacing of that helped him tremendously. But it's hard for me to get excited about this because the thing I look most forward to on ROH pay-per-views is the in-ring. And I just don't think either performer's biggest strengths are showing out in ring. So not super excited about that. The build has not been great. I will say it's been present across all of their shows. So that's a step in the right direction as far as the value that they're assigning overall to ROH, which makes me happy. I appreciate that they're trying to take one of the most consistent and highest level independent performers and put eyeballs on ROH as well. So I appreciate all those things about it. And quite frankly, the very brief Mr. New York segments that Jericho has been doing is some of the work I've liked better in a very, very long time. So the pieces are there. It's just the sum is not greater than the whole of the parts, in my opinion, on this. Not very excited. I don't feel like Matt Cardona is a long-term plan for Ring of Honor for whatever reason. It just seems antithetical with the ROH way of doing things a little bit. Not to say he wouldn't be of value there. I also just genuinely feel like he's probably headed back to WWE at some point. Like just genuinely, like his wife's killing it over there. He fits the nature of that product so well. I could see him being a Royal Rumble surprise. That would actually be very, very fun. So I don't think that's the long-term plan. And because of that, I think we probably stick with Jericho. And I hope he drops to someone that's going to be around a little bit more consistently. I think there's some interesting possibilities in the greater picture of the learning tree, either to set up feuds with someone on the other side of that, or somebody turns on Jericho, Brian Keith, Big Bill, and they become the next champion, or it sets up someone for them to feud with. Either way, I feel like that's the direction to go, which is not this match in all likelihood. So I'm going to go with El Nueve retaining here.
I'm also going to go with El Nueve. I agree with a lot with what you said. I've been saying it for weeks on A Ramble that I've been loving the New York Minute because it's concise.
Because it's a minute. Ramble. You like a minute.
It's concise. It's 1 minute. He gets across his point. When they were using it for him to promote upcoming events, I was like, that's brilliant use of Chris Jericho. He's a name that people will recognize talking about your upcoming events, and it'll make you remember it. So I thought that was brilliant use of him and the time with the New York Minute instead of just him just rambling about learning tree and nonsense like that. So yeah, I agree. I think that Jericho, we're gonna go through this with Jericho. The longer that he doesn't take a break, we're gonna have periods where he does something good, then he has longer periods where he's doing something bad, and then he'll have something good again. I also agree that they did well to kind of use every one of their shows to build up this matchup and make it seem important heading into Friday. Do I think this should headline the show? Hell no. I don't. But this is a good semi-main event. It's going to get a lot of heat in Hammerstein Ballroom because Jericho's going to get a reaction. I don't know how Cardona is going to get a reaction. It could go either way. I don't know. We're going to see. It's going to be interesting on Friday between these two. The reaction alone makes this an interesting matchup to watch. But in the end, I think that Jericho holds on to the title. I think that Tony Khan would have answered the whole AEW, GCW relationship question a little differently if Cardona was about to win the title.
Yeah, and I also feel like this is an interesting one as far as card placement goes, because I feel like this is something that could kick off the show so that you're kind of immediately like, it will have crowd reactions and it will have some heat behind it. So it feels like a good way to warm up the crowd for what's to come in this. But then I also look at that TV title match and I'm like, don't we want to start with something that's going to be like a fun little train like that? So we'll see where this happens. This probably goes on second to last in what I'm guessing. I believe there was more news going up on FightfulSelect.com about what the main event is going to be. So we'll find out on there. But I would hope it's Billie and Athena for the fact that this has been like a 2-year-long story almost at this point.
Yeah. And like I've said it once, I'll say it again, and I say it to you. I've been saying it every week since Cardona came in. This would have been so much better with Mark Briscoe. I'm just gonna keep saying it. I'm just gonna keep saying it. Matt Cardona as the invading heel deathmatch king coming in to make first Mark Briscoe, New York City, Hammerstein Ballroom, the representative of Ring of Honor, and Matt Cardona being everything not Ring of Honor, and they facing some plunder deathmatch style matchup. Man, that would be a late contender for one of my favorite matches of the year. Sounds like fun
in that. What's also so funny with Jericho and Cardona is you can't even go back to, they worked in the same promotion, but they do not have an extensive history. So there's not even like canon that you're like, well, we could build on top of these pre-existing seeds. Like they really didn't have like a WWE feud, or at least not one that I can recall. I feel like that's what's kind of funny is like they had crossed paths, but there's not really anything. There's no meat on the bone to gnaw on there.
All they gonna do is, oh, you were Zach. You're just Zach. And
You're just, yeah.
It got a good reaction the first 2 times he said it, but only so many times you can use that to get a reaction.
That's it. There's
That's
no
all you
like,
got.
remember when we fought? Not really. No. There was not like a feud. There was not an IC title feud of Jericho's there or anything. So
You mean that 10-minute match in 2016? Yeah, that was cool.
yeah. Neat.
Neat. All right, let's talk about the real main event of Final Battle for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. Athena will defend against Billie Starkz. It feels like we have said this before because, in fact, we did at Final Battle 2023. It was the culmination of a 6-month rivalry at that time that started with Billie Starkz versus Athena at Forbidden Door 2023. And then after her loss against Athena, Billie becoming an understudy, a protege of the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, and Athena creating MIT, Minion Empowerment, and everything that is the Minion Overlord, training Billie Starkz and Lexi Nair, leading up until their graduation, where Athena let Lexi graduate but stopped Billie from doing so, which triggered Billie enough to attack her teacher in a lawless attack that is one of the most disgusting moments that I've seen in Ring of Honor history. The attack that she did before last year's Final Battle. It led into a bitter matchup, but the hero came out on top. Athena retained the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship, going 1 year as champion. And since then, she has achieved the ultimate goal. She has become the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion of all time, passing Samoa Joe's 645-day reign earlier this year. She has just passed 2 years as Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, and now she defends once again against her protege, Billie Starkz, who has been through a lot over the past year. Coming off the heels of her loss at Final Battle, Billie started to accept more of the aggressive and nefarious ways of Athena, leading to her becoming the inaugural Ring of Honor Women's TV champion, faking a neck injury, disappointing her mother, and then accepting Athena as her new mother, basically. It led to her holding that TV title for 3 months. But unfortunately, at Death Before Dishonor, she dropped the title to Red Velvet, while Athena retained against Queen Aminata, thanks in part to Billie Starkz, but more in part to Lexi Nair. Athena's right. More in part to Lexi Nair, which led to Athena favoring Lexi a whole lot more, even more than last year, over Billie. Billie started feeling more neglected, started feeling abandoned at times, especially during the feud with Abaddon, which led to Billie being disgruntled, walking away from Athena during Minion Empowerment meetings, and then in the Fatal 4-Way qualifying matchup for the Ring of Honor representative in the International Women's Cup tournament. It was once again Athena stealing a victory, getting a win, not looking out for Billie, which led to Athena finally saying, hey, Billie wanted to step up and be a challenger for the Ring of Honor World Championship, and Athena is such a giving minion overlord that she gave her the shot and is going to stand tall. It might be a 1-second match because Billie is going to lay on her back because that's what she's supposed to do. Look up at the lights and listen to Athena, but it's going to be a classic.
Woo. Guys, if you're seeing the ticker right now, like, support the Patreon, send in super chats, be a subscriber, or a member rather, because that recap from SP3, my God, the amount of time he's saving you on research is very enriching to go back and watch the matches. But these recaps, phenomenal stuff. Okay, so that alone, send in your financial support. But I feel like it's so obvious that Billie should go over, but I just am wondering, with the cadence of the possibility of TV and with Wrestle Dynasty and Athena representing the ROH brand, what that might do to this story. I feel like it's been going on so long already, and I think you want that major moment. There's not really a better way to do it than at Hammerstein, right? We had said last year was the year of the workhorse champions. I think you agreed with me on that. At least I was saying it constantly. Yeah. You had Gunther, you had Athena, you had ZSJ. We had these really, really substantive, good workhorse title reigns. Now Athena's outlasted ZSJ. She's outlasted Gunther. She's outlasted everybody. She is the champion. So I think there's no better way to end this story than Billie winning at Hammerstein. I think that's such a special moment for both of them. And the culmination of what's been the story that's really been the heartbeat of this entire promotion for the course of the past 2 years. I wouldn't be stunned if we got a rematch. I think there could be some things. If you watch us on Thursday, sorry for reiterating here, but I think there could be a fun angle of you lost your title. If you don't win at Wrestle Dynasty, forget about it. Like, get off of ROH forever. And I think that could be a fun go away story for Athena to go out on. But wouldn't be shocked if we end up getting a third match to complete the trilogy, either on the first TV or later. But I think I think just do it right, do it clean, make it happen. Billie Starkz walks out the new champion.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Billie Starkz, this is her moment.
Yeah, it feels that way.
The youngest world champion in Ring of Honor history, finally dethroning Athena after a 2-year reign. It feels like it's been all culminating to this. I haven't liked all the steps in the last couple of weeks, but an 18-month story. Okay, it's okay if you stumble at the last couple of blocks. It's okay because y'all have done such good work to build up to this. This has been the logical matchup to be at Final Battle to end Athena's 2-year reign. So it just makes sense for Billie to be it. I think that it should be it, though, for Athena in Ring of Honor after this. I think she needs to lose in the main event, have the emotional moment, hug Billie, put the title on her, but Billie gets to celebrate for a little bit. Then Billie can go off with her family and celebrate in the back and give Athena kind of the close off, the curtain call to close the show and say goodbye in Hammerstein Ballroom. I think that's a fitting end for Athena's 2-year reign.
I like that. It does feel weird that Athena would carry this brand and not be a part of the first TV, but I understand what you're saying. Like, make it a clean break. It would be one of the most high value send-offs you could have, because it would mean she was champion for basically her entire time that she was in ROH. There's something really, really special about pretty much the entire time you were down there, you were the champion. It is something that not a lot of people get to take that story with them. So I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah, I do agree with you, though. It's like, you could do have a send off or just have a curtain call for her title reign. She can go. She won't be on Ring of Honor for the next couple of weeks. Go to Wrestle Dynasty, win the International Women's Cup, and then make like a guest spot, like her final. You could build it up as Athena's final Ring of Honor match on the premiere of Ring of Honor on wherever it's going to end up on TV.
Sure. Maybe she gets a rematch at Billie and Billie wins more convincingly or something. We'll see. But I mean, we talk about it every week, but what a testament to the wrestler that Athena is, to be able to guide this product through such a very, very odd couple of years, where it felt like things were directionless. Her work really just stood out as the heartbeat of the entire promotion. And ROH has not notoriously been a place where it's like, this is where women get to shine. So the fact that she was able to shatter that ceiling the way she did has been just a privilege to watch, and such expansive and wonderful thing to see from her as a performer. The way she switched her moveset, the way we got to see the serious heel side of her, and then also the comedic side of her. Like, I feel like we got to explore with her so many pockets of character growth too, and in-ring growth. Like, she was not just like, and the O face and we go home. She's winning matches in all these different ways. She's using triangle chokes. Like, it was really, really been, if this is the end of it, like, what an incredible testament to what she's able to do for a brand, for sure.
Yeah. And we're really going to see like what a actual AEW kind of call up feels like, because they've kept her away from AEW so much that it's going to see like, has her like being this kind of like god and legend in Ring of Honor and getting these big reactions on these Ring of Honor pay-per-views, or when they do have a good amount of people there for the tapings, is that going to translate to when she's on AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision? Are the fans still going to be there with her? Is it the same fans, or are there like a smaller group of fans that are watching Ring of Honor? It's kind of interesting to see how that goes down.
And I think it's so interesting because it feels like NXT and ROH right now are both quote unquote hybrid developmental. And I think when we hear the word developmental, we instinctually jump to the idea of like, this is where you're learning how to wrestle. But when you kind of pull back from that and you look at Athena and what she's developed, like it wasn't going from like amateur to expert or anything, but she reestablished who she was as a wrestler completely. And she developed into something that like, I don't think watching her in WWE or the very brief time that she had in AEW, like we got to see that in her. Like we didn't know this was there. So when you think of developmental in that way, as a place to establish and invent yourself, I think what a testament to what the breathing room of ROH can let you do. And I hope that, to your point, it's rewarded in the call up that she's thrown into things that are meaningful, and the legacy of her championship is carried over, because when she's been on Battle of the Belts, she was the highest rated one there, right? On the few times that she's let out of the ROH box on AEW television on pay-per-view matches or whatever, she's delivered. And I think people, even if they're not watching ROH week to week with only SP3 and IR, people understand like, oh, she's the real deal when she shows up, because there are people like me and SB3 talking about it a lot.
We're here for you guys. We're here. We're here. I love Power Driver Finisher because I know he's from Texas, so he's a staunch Minion Overlord follower. He says Athena has to retire the ROH Women's Championship and sustain the glory of ROH, but more importantly, Athena's glory must be preserved. But we are simple humans who cannot comprehend such sacrifice. He says, "L take from both of you." That's unfortunate. There.
Touché.
He makes a good point.
You know what?
Very eloquent.
Forever champion. That's fair.
But no, we both are predicting Billie Starkz to become the new champion on Friday. We shall see what happens. We shall see what gets added tomorrow night on Ring of Honor television. I did see in the chat someone mentioning Sydney Akeem, aka the former Reggie, has been announced for ROH tomorrow night. He's going to go one-on-one with Serpentico, so that should be interesting. I've been seeing this, people kind of talking about this. What do you think? Do you think that what's the percentage? 0 to 100%, Kate. What do you think? Your own personal thoughts. Will Ricky Starkz appear at ROH Final Battle?
I think reports of this big an effort to repair bridges with GCW have been greatly exaggerated. Like I don't think that's the case. I think with Ricky, they said, you're not doing this match, but we immediately set you up with something else. I don't think Ricky Starkz should be. God, I love ROH. Ricky Starkz should be on AEW television. Like he probably shouldn't be on ROH. I would love it. Please let me be wrong. Let Ricky Starkz return to a damn wrestling ring. I would be so excited. But anything less than world champion doesn't fit. And I don't see like Jericho dropping to Ricky. Like he should be in the mix on AEW. That's where people want him. Great. Nobody's saying like bring Ricky to ROH except for a few people. Like so many people are saying put him on AEW television, right? But yeah, I think this idea that it's like a GCW make good is probably not the way that people think.
Or a GCW invasion. Unfortunately, Tyler Robin, I don't see it being a GCW invasion this Friday. I think that would be very cool if it did happen.
Sure.
But do I think it's going to happen? Do I think it's likely? No, I don't.
I don't know if you're AEW other than looking cool, which is fair and there's value to. What the upside of doing a GCW invasion angle is. Like I don't think it was the right move to pull Ricky from the Cardona match because of what Effie said. But I also don't think there's a need to like overcorrect so hard in a promotion that has now like consistently taken shots at you. So I'm just not there for that. That GCW Hammerstein show is not selling well, and it does feel like it would probably help them out. I just don't understand the impetus for AEW to help out a brand that is kind of like going in on them for not really any reason.
Yeah, like it's so like I said before, I was like, I don't even think Tony Khan should have even responded, because all Effie's original comments did was make Effie look bad. Like,
yeah.
like to me personally, as a viewer, I really like Effie. I think that Effie has done so much when it comes to, you know, representation in the independent wrestling scene, and the big gay brunch that he does during WrestleMania weekend and during collective weekends is so great to see different you know, people being represented during those events. Effie is so great to independent wrestling and for GCW. But what he said, it kind of sounded like he was bitter. Like,
Yeah.
like I always like to preference that. I always like to compliment to people before I criticize them, because all people will get is the criticism. But all of the real criticism is kind of made you sound kind of salty, brother. Like, I don't know if you
and
say all that.
I too love Effie so much, and I also think he doesn't get credit for how good he is from like a psychology standpoint in matches. He's really, really good at that, and I have so much respect for him across all fronts, both representation and just in general. Like he really knows how to work a wrestling match. He made Sean Ross Sapp look good, so he can do anything as far as I'm concerned. But I do think my takeaway from that whole thing was like, well, GCW is not the first promotion to ever run Hammerstein, and it's like pretty integral to ROH's history. So for me, it was more that of like, felt like an overextension of that than anything else. But I agree with you. Like a in the same way, I don't like it when WWE punches down at AEW, because they're the one and a I don't want to say distant two, but realistically a distant two from a financial success standpoint so far. AEW punching down at an independent kind of feels the same way, and to actively stand in the way of two unrelated talents opportunities. It wasn't, Ricky Starks wasn't facing Effie, right? So that's kind of where my thing is with that too. But it's wrestling. It's the carniest shit in the world, and people are going to say stuff. And also, like, part of Effie's charm is that he's completely unhinged, and I love that about him, and I love that for him. So, like, there's always sound bites that are coming out of what Effie says, because that's just what he does and who he is. And hell, we're still talking about it like 6 weeks later. So God bless him on that, right? There you go.
That's probably his most listened to podcast ever. So more power to you, brother.
Yeah,
it paid off. It paid off. But that's going to bring us to a close on this Ring of Honor Final Battle 2024 preview. I want to thank Kate so much for joining me today, showing some love to us over at True Hill Heat. We love having Kate over here, and want to give you the floor. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media, where they can see all your great content. Well, Blue Sky only, but yes, let everybody know where they can follow you.
You can follow me at Miss Kate Faye, but I also have my own content going up on my own YouTube channel. You can check me out there. But I am also on Fightful most nights of the week. I'm on Select on Mondays, and for most PLEs outside of NXT and pay-per-views for other brands. You can check me out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays on the main channel there. Tonight, I'm actually filling in as well to review some AEW. But if you like me and SP3 as a duo, you can check us out every Thursday talking all ROH. I love getting to host with him. So please check us out there. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. Go ahead and follow one of the hardest working women in all of wrestling media. And you can also go over to Twitter machine. Follow me at True Hill SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. You can vote right now on our True Hill Heat year-end awards. We're going to be doing that on the final True Hill Heat of 2024. We'll be reading out the winners, so you can go over there now and vote right now. You can even be a public member and vote right now on a couple of the topics. And also check out all the great content we got on the channel right now. We got a lot of our year-end videos about to drop. We've already filmed our AEW 2024 tier list. it was 4 hours long because me and Jimmy Rackaram had a lot to say about this huge 200-person roster. I did not know it was that much before I asked them. Yes. But so we have split it in two. We're going to have an AEW Women's 2024 tier list and an AEW Men's 2024 tier list. So that's going to be dropping on the channel as we get close to the holidays. Check out our reviews of Saturday night's main event and NJPW Strong Style Evolved, as well as Rated Raw reviewing Monday's Monday Night Raw. So check that out as well. Me and Kate will be with you tomorrow night following Ring of Honor TV over on the Fightful main channel. So join us for that. Thank you so much to Kate. Thank you so much to all of you joining us. So until next time, I will be back with you tomorrow, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with AE Ramble reviewing tonight's AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash. But until then, this has been our ROH Final Battle 2024 preview. We are signing off until next time.